Right, we are right back. Welcome to the show on Humanist TV Africa. Welcome to Humanist TV Africa, where our culture remains critical thinking and promotion of skepticism in Africa, promotion of secularism in Africa, steeped with religious tension. So, welcome to today's show. Welcome to today's newspaper report with my humble self, Obasi Ikechukwu, as the presenter. All right, let's go to the business of the day on the news headlines. All right, let's take this one. Curtis clash in Benin City, kill TV journalist, 3 others day before Christmas. Curtis clash in Benin City, killed ITV journalist, 3 others day before Christmas. All right, moving away from this, let's take this one. Terrorist born woman, 2 children, daughter-in-law in Sokoto community. Terrorist born woman, 2 children, daughter-in-law in Sokoto community of Nigeria. This is coming from Sahara Reporters. I keep wondering what is the cause of this everyday terrorism in Nigeria. Could it be religion? Could it be ethnicity? Could it be discrimination? Or what are you guys dragging? Why the terrorism? All right, that is the question that I will want to answering some of these topical questions of what is increasing terrorist attacks in Nigeria. All right, moving away from this, let's take this report. Fake beverages raises risk of liver cardiovascular diseases. Fake beverages raises risk of liver cardiovascular diseases. Cancer Agency. This is coming from Punch News. All right, moving away from this, let's take this report coming from Punch News. South Africa flood kills 7, 11 missing. South Africa flood kills 7, 11 missing. All right, let's take this one. Congo bans protest against election irregularities. Congo bans protests against election irregularities. This is coming from Punch News. I wonder why the culture of the African electoral system should be irregularity, should be election rigging, should be election violence. And the government of Congo is coming up to say that they are banning protests against irregularities. What happens to freedom of expression? What happens to agitation? What happens to protest against unlawfulness, against the society when things are not right? What happens? This is a question. It's a question the audience also needs to answer. What happens to this regime of lawlessness all over Africa? Excuse me. What happens to that? The problem of Africa is enough to cause people to cough. Yes. So it's a funny issue, but it's an issue that we need to talk about as Africans. What happens to all this that is causing a topical problem in Africa? What happens? The African continent should begin to think twice, should begin to do the needful, because we are great people, but we shouldn't allow irregularities in election, because democracy is very, very important. Democracy and humanism is identical, where you allow people to choose their leaders, where you allow people to choose their faith, where you allow people the freedom of choice, where you allow people the freedom of public opinion. Oh yes. So moving away from this, let's take this other report. Let's take this other report coming from Punch News. One coming from Punch News. Sorry for the break. This report is coming from Punch News. Without studies, extent of gender-based violence will be speculated. Without studies, extent of gender-based violence will be speculated. Here in Africa, all over the world, I wonder why gender issue, gender bias, sexism, toxic patriarchy, even the growing toxic feminism have now become a topical issue, have now become a problem. Gender-based violence all over the world, domestic violence everywhere, in Africa, in the Western world, even in Nigeria. Currently, the veteran Nollywood actor Emeka Ike is having a marital fracas. The marital fracas of Emeka Ike and the wife have resurfaced in the media space. So that is the extent people are, victims or victimized in their various relationship and marriage. That is the extent of victimization based on sex or gender. So it is everywhere, and it has become a topical problem. It has become an issue in the society, a socio-cultural, a religious, a national, and a constitutional issue. This is why the Constitution of Nigeria, for instance, leans against, dehumanization. That is why in Section 34, it provides that nobody should be subjected to inhuman and degrading treatment. So there is right to dignity of human persons in the Nigerian Constitution. Yet, marriage has now become a shield for people to violate right to dignity of human persons and go with impunity in the name of marriage, because in Africa, marriage is being revered and valued, even at the expense of human happiness. A person like Deborah Samuel was also a victim of gender-based violence. Because, as we know, domestic violence is also a form of gender-based violence. This violence is not only against the women, though based on socio-cultural disposition, it appears that the percentage of women that are being victims of this topical issue, of this preposterous issue, are women. But there are still some exceptions, even in the national policies. It is funny, but I keep asking, why do we have Ministry of Women Affairs and no Ministry of Men Affairs? If you want to stabilize things, the appropriate ministry should be Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, because every human is important, whether male or female. We can only speak against some injustice against any of the gender, some bias against any of the gender. Maybe in your Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, you can have a segment for Women Affairs, the Department of Women Affairs, and you can have the Department for Men Affairs. You can as well have the Department of Children Affairs. You can also have Department of Old People's Affairs, because these are some categorization in the society that also needs attention. Men needs attention, because if you're an African man, I respect you, because we tend to be going through a lot. In Africa. The men go through a lot, and expect you not to speak up. If you are a woman, you go through a lot biologically, socio-culturally, and what have you. The child go through a lot. Even the people that the senile people, the people that are inflicted with senility, so they also go through a lot. So we need to say no to gender-based violence. And how do we go about it? By having, good statistics of gender-based violence and recommending how to tackle it. That is why this report has it that without studies, the extent of gender-based violence will just be a speculation. People will just say, and to be sincere with you, even with the studies, it's even with the study that is available to us, we cannot categorically say that all the cases of gender-based violence are being covered, because due to cognitive dissonance, people don't speak up. Due to the effect of toxic relationship, people don't come out to speak up. Due to religiosity, people don't come out to speak up. Due to our social-cultural attitude towards marriage, where they think that marriage is not all and all, you need to sacrifice, you need to die because you want to sustain your marriage. People don't speak up. But at least studies have, given us a bit clue on the fact that gender-based violence is not just a mere piece of speculation. It's not just a speculation. It is it is something that happens every day. All right, moving away from this report. Excuse me. Let's moving away from this important report. Let's have this report. Let's have this report coming from Point News. Catholic won't succumb to dictatorship of secularism, Archbishop Kaigama says. The Archbishop has come to say that the Catholic Church won't succumb to dictatorship of secularism. Well, coming to you, I will say that this is a statement uncalled for from an Archbishop, because this statement is capable of bringing trouble. If it is in a society where the rule of law is respected, this man should have been invited to the detention facility for questioning, for how we think that secularism is a dictatorship. Because this tend to go against the constitutional values of the country Nigeria. Under Section 10 of the 1999 Constitution, secularism was provided. The Constitution stated it in black and white that the country shall be a secular state. So how will a bishop, an archbishop, come to the public to make such unfounded statements, saying that the dictatorship? Are you saying that because saying that that secularism is a dictatorship, is saying that constitution is a dictatorship? So what is then not a dictatorship if the supreme law of the land that affirms secularism is regarded as producing dictatorship? What then is dictatorship? Is it when you abolish the constitution and install theocracy, the ancient theocracy of the Roman Empire, that you will know that that you will be happy? So I am calling on the government to actually call this man to order to retract this comment, because it is capable of breach of peace. Because some of the members, he's a man that have a lot of sheep. He has a lot of sheep. Yes, some members will swallow this hook, line, and sinker, and won't want to question things. All right. Would want to question things. So I wonder why he would make this unfounded statement that Catholic will succumb to dictatorship of secularism. Where is the secularism coming from, if I may ask? The secularism is coming from the 99 Constitution, the Nigerian Constitution that bounds everyone. Yes, even in your religious books, you are to respected constituted authorities. And secularism is a constituted culture, national value. And why it is a constituted national value? To ensure peace and unity, and progress, because Nigeria is a multi-religious a multi-ideological society where you have Christians, Muslims. Even in the Christian world, there are so many denominations. There are so many denominations. Religion is secularism. Secular culture was put in place by the founding fathers of Nigeria to sustain peace in a multilingual, multi-ethnic, and multi-religious society like Nigeria. So you coming to question secularism, calling secularism a dictatorship, is a form of inciting violence. A form of inciting violence, and you should apologize to Nigerians and retract your statement, because secularism is not a dictator, but is one of the factors. It's one of the factors, if actually complied with, that is capable of promoting peace. Secularism, where everyone will be free to exercise his freedom of thought and conscience. That is what secularism does with society. So you saying that that secularism is dictatorial is inciting breach of public peace. Inciting breach of public peace, which the government is supposed to invite you for better explanation, or saying something that is against the Constitution, or leaning against the Constitution. All right, moving away from this, let's have this report. Let's have this report coming from CNN. Tackle these health issues to reduce the risk of early dementia, study says. Tackle these health issues to reduce the risk of early dementia. You can go to CNN to know some of the health issues that you are meant to tackle to reduce the risk of early dementia, because dementia is actually a problem, especially here in Africa, especially among the old people, the aged people, because age comes with a lot of trauma. Age comes with a lot of gerontological problem. Yes, it comes with a lot of gerontological problem that needs to be tackled. So it comes with a lot of dementia due to age-long experiences, which may be traumatic, which may be depressive. So it is also good that you go and check this out on CNN to know some of the health challenges that could trigger dementia at early age. Because in Africa, some of the attitude that people link to witchcraft in Africa is dementia. Someone can, as of dementia, confess what he or she did not commit, because dementia is a psychosomatic issue that tends to affect our people, especially the aged people. So we have to ensure that we don't risk having early dementia in order for us to live a happy, healthy life. All right, moving away from this, let's have this report from Humanist TV Africa. It is good that we are back to our culture. It is good that we are back to our culture, but not everything about our culture is good. It is good that we are back to our culture, but not everything about our culture is good. It is good that we are back to our culture, but not everything about our culture is good. This is coming from Nigerian humanist Ikechukwu. He said that it is good that our culture is good, but it's not everything about our culture is good. You see, Ikechukwu is an outspoken humanist. In fact, he was a guest in my show, in my morning show. Yes, and I quite agree with him on this take. Yes, there are some cultural values that should be sustained, and there are some that should be dispelled. For instance, the culture that supports human sacrifice is not even good at all. The culture that supports female genital mutilation should not be sustained. The culture that supports gender bias, sexism, should not be sustained. The culture that is homophobic in nature should not be sustained. The culture that leans against the people's reproductive rights should not be supported. But there are some culture that brings about unity. Like for instance, in Igbo society where I come from, Iriji Festival, New Yam Festival is a culture that brings about unity. There's also one that I celebrated. I equally celebrated as well because it's a secular event that exposes make us to understand, that exposes and takes our mind back to our roots, to make us understand that this calendar we are using now is purely Gregorian calendar. That culture reminds us of our indigenous New Year, which is called Aju Festival. So such cultures, unless you are carrying out some heinous activities, can be improved. Just like I improved mine. I even hosted a show and termed it a secular event, a secular indigenous event being hijacked by some traditional religious worshippers. But I say no to some to religious people always trying to hijack certain things, certain celebrations that are secular. So I celebrated the event in my secular style. So some of these cultures are meant to be sustained, and the rest that are odious to our progress should be dispelled. All right, let's move away from this and take another report. Take another important report. Important report also coming from Humanist TV News. All right, disease from demonizing your village people over misfortune. Disease from demonizing your village people over your misfortune. Hype, Ebony, advices. Disease from demonizing your village people over your misfortune. Hype, Ebony. A humanist and a foremost lawyer advises. This is report from Humanist TV News. Yes, I quite agree with Hype, a senior comrade. I quite agree with him, and a senior lawyer based in UK. I quite agree with him because I don't know what is, geometrically wrong with our mindset in Africa. You don't attribute some of your misfortunes to your village people. Misfortunes are natural phenomena. Yes, misfortunes are natural phenomenon. Everyone must face misfortune. It's a must. From time to time, you must experience one misfortune or the other. They are natural. They are natural instincts of events in life. They are natural order of events in life that sometimes you experience some misfortune. So you don't have to attribute blames. You don't have to submit to blame games in order to vent your frustration. Yes, frustration is a psychological effect whenever you are faced with it's psychological whenever you are faced with some frustrating depressive circumstances. It's normal for you to be frustrated, but for you to appeal to blame game is a kind of taking your frustration out of context. It's a kind of excuse me. It's a kind of taking it out of proportion, because it is normal to be frustrated, but blaming the wrong people is venting, reacting to your frustration, reacting to your misfortune illogically. And one thing we must always preach on Humanist TV Africa is the culture of critical thinking, the culture of skepticism, so that we'll make the world a better place. All right, moving away from this, let's have this other important report coming from Humanist TV. Humanist TV News, Christmas socks. Whoever is responsible for it should be nailed to a wooden cross. Humanist Dennis there's Christians. Christmas sucks. Whoever is responsible for it should be nailed with a wooden cross. Humanist, Dennis. There's Christians. Voila. Well, this report I'm getting, they are just the dodge. In fact, I will, in my next show, I will wear bulletproof to the studio because this is capable of, you are daring, you are beating more than you can chew. This will box you. So you mean that in this Christmas time, someone is trying to to cause quarrel? But actually, should the Christians fight, or should Africans always try to fight themselves over foreign concepts? Tell me what you think about that. Should Africans always? Well, this is coming from Dennis. Dennis say, I actually spent my 25th of December by by viewing the world by viewing the world's Christmas right in front of the local church in my area. I should say you must hey, you must well, Dennis, you won't kill me on this show. All right, don't worry. Don't call me till they fight you. In fact, I won't even defend you till they fight you, till they break your head. You better go out of the street after saying this on TV. After saying this and it's reported on TV, you better go out on the street with a helmet so that someone will not come and break your head. Because we are too radical with some of these things in Africa. We don't even know when someone is joking. Even when someone is not joking, when someone makes a statement that should be, given a critical appraisal, Africans don't do that. They will want to fight you. So we have to be careful. I've advised you, be going out of the street with bulletproof. Yes, be wearing bulletproof now. And also helmet, so that they won't break your skull. All right, that is from Dennis. All right, moving away from that, let's take another report. All right, let's take another report. Religion is the worst intellectual virus infecting human beings. This is coming from Nigerian professor Douglas Anele. Religion is the worst intellectual virus infecting human beings. Oh, this is coming from Nigerian professor. Now, let's hear from the horse's mouth. Let's hear from the horse's mouth so that I won't feel that Humanist TV is making this up.
Religion is the worst intellectual virus invented by human beings.
You see, that is from the horse's mouth. He just said it that it's an intellectual.
Religion is the worst intellectual virus invented by human beings.
My producer loves this. He just repeated it. That is an intellectual virus. Well, the listeners and the viewers, what do you think? What do you think about what Professor Douglas Anele has to say? Yes, analyzing this, you will quite agree with him. Whatever that will stop you from thinking critically, whatever that will impede your critical thinking acumen is a virus that we need to work on. So we keep advising us to embrace skepticism and critical thinking. Even if you want to believe, you have your right. In humanism here, we respect people's right. We are just here we respect people's right, but we can actually, do a general constructive criticism. That is why we don't mention names directly, except we're analyzing newspaper reports. We don't mention names directly in our shows. We don't. unless a newspaper report is being analyzed. So we only try to, give a critical appraisal, a critical analysis of what people believe and even non-beliefs. Take for instance, I'm an apatheist. Sometimes I still disagree with some free thinkers. Like I'm an apatheist. Yes, I feel that people should not just be atheists, because in fact, atheism, the definition of atheism, tend to even give validity to what is being said about some of this anthropomorphism. So it is giving them validity. Mine is a form of I don't care attitude to some of these things. I detest even talking about. Mine is more radical. My position is more radical. So that is why even among free thinkers, we disagree among ourselves. Yes, in various philosophy, we even find much more disagreement among free thinkers than in the religious world, because as free thinkers, we are not drawn to anyone's apron string. Yes, even if you are a professor, we are not. Sometimes you even come to oppose an intellectual group like Kato Mukasa. We sometimes oppose him. Yes, and instead of picking holes, sometimes we just laugh and he want to improve. But in the religious world, you don't question your archbishop. But over here in humanist TV, over here in the humanist community, we question everyone. Though we respect people. When we wrong you, we apologize. But we have to question you. But anything that impedes that attitude of questioning, that attitude of asking questions, that attitude of developing some methodic doubt is an intellectual virus. I agree with Prof. All right, moving away from this, let's have this other important report. Let's have this other important report. You okay? Okay. I would like to become the president of Sierra Leone or first lady, not for selfish reasons, but to make Sierra Leone a better country. This is coming from Mary Bindi, a Sierra Leonean lady, Mary Bindi. She's saying that she intends to join politics and become the and I quite support her. I quite endorse her. We should allow more women in politics. Women are managers. Women are tender-hearted people. Women are naturally more civilized. I'm not saying that men are not, but some of the biological traits tends to make them so civilized. So we should allow more women in politics, not just especially in Africa. Yes, if you go to the Western world, there are more women in politics. Like, for instance, the current vice president of US is a woman. Yes, and in Africa, we have had a woman as the leader of Liberia. That is Helen Johnson Sirleaf, and I would quite commend her for that. Though I'm not saying that we should just give ticket to a competent woman because we want to, incorporate women in politics. No. What I'm saying is that if the cap fits anyone, it should be given to the person. If the Sierra Leonean people think Mary will drag them to success, to development, to growth, we should give her, irrespective of her gender. So we should endeavor to not to, invite gender bias in politics as we've always done. We should now continue to incorporate women in politics. All right, moving away from this, let's have this report. Let's have this report. Let's have another report. Another important report coming from our big comrade. Why I don't celebrate Christmas? UK-based Ugandan lawyer Kato Mukasa explains why I don't celebrate Christmas. UK-based Ugandan lawyer Kato Mukasa explains. You can get the full gist on Humanist TV. If you want to know why he feels that he feels that Christmas is a no celebration for him, why he said that he does not celebrate Christmas, you should visit Humanist TV for the full gist. All right, moving away from this, let's have this pressing news. Imo University expels Catholic priest, 14 other law students for examination malpractice. Imo State University expels Catholic priest, 14 other law students for examination malpractice. This is coming from Sahara Reporters. This is coming from Sahara Reporters. I wonder why malpractice is on the increase in the various universities. What could be the problem? Could it be? I want to take the viewers. This is a topical issue, so the viewers should help me on this. Why is it that malpractice is becoming the order of the day? If it is not electoral malpractice, it will be examination malpractice. If it's not examination malpractice, it will be, will I say, gender malpractice. So, and to think that, though I do not give them special status, I do not give some of these clerics special status. They are human beings like us, just like religion makes them to feel special. Okay? I will always say it, everyone is important. No person is more special than the other. We are all the same. We are all special in our various uniqueness. You can decide to think that they are special because they call them clerics. No, think that everyone is special. Let's respect everyone. So I do not give that Catholic priests among the culprits, among the alleged culprits, a special force attention, because I know we are all human beings, and in fact, some of them over there are even more dubious than the normal people, because when you try to, inspire make believe, when haven't gone to philosophy and theology school, that some of the things you are claiming you don't really know them, that they exist, they don't really exist. It's even the starting point of malpractice. Yes, it's the starting point of malpractice. Most of you clerics are involved in, ideological malpractice. All right, moving away from this, let's have this special report. Nigerian activist Malcolm Omoribe advocates death sentence for corrupt politicians. Nigerian activist Malcolm Omoribe advocates death sentence for corrupt politicians. Yes, that is what happens in China and some other places. So what do you think about this recommendation by Nigerian activist Malcolm Omoribe? What do you think? Do you think death sentence is appropriate for corruption of politicians? All right, moving away from this, let's have this important, last but not the least report. Skepticism is very important for intellectual maturity, Prof. Anele. Skepticism is very important for intellectual maturity. Oh yes, sir. Let's hear from the horse's mouth. Let's hear from the horse's mouth. No need, I cannot explain more than a professor anyway. So in humanist,
because they say Jesus ascended to heaven. Maybe use a spacecraft, who knows? They now formulated that Muhammad flew to heaven in a horse. the people that believe these things, when they want to travel, instead of calling Muhammad to send the horse for them to use, they go and use what is produced by science and technology. Please, why is science progressive and religion is not? Very simple. Albert Einstein is the greatest physicist. When quantum theory was formulated, he rejected it. Till he died in 1965, he rejected it. What happened? His colleagues ignored it. In spite of his authority, they would have said, oh, this is Einstein, he said it. Jesus revealed it to him. Muhammad gave it to him in one mountain. They moved on because science encourages believing based on evidence. But in the Bible, I'm told faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So I'm hoping for $1 billion. If I go to UBA now and say that in the name of the Holy Ghost, I believe it. See, you people do not act your faith. Those of you doing my logic, don't read. Challenge results. That enemy is challenging your class. Don't read. Don't even come to class. Let me see how you will pass. On the exam day, don't write. Let me give you a very good expo. If this is your answer script, don't place it before you and say, Calabar, because I tell you to prove that you're wrong. Write the answer to me. When the result comes out, you will get a very statistic. You believe all those people don't, but you don't act on it. You don't act on it. You don't. They keep telling you stories every day. You go to the church, to the mosque. What they do, your fruit of hope is coming. Your this one is coming. The same year, you go to the same place, do the same prayer. Next year, the same thing. Can't you ask yourself, this one I've been asking for this and all this. Since your power has expired, no, they will tell you be patient. Daughter of Zion, the son of the Lion of Judah. But when it comes to your own need, you do what every human being does. So please, from today on, I'm not here to preach any religion because I don't belong to anyone. I don't have anything that I worship. I don't have any effigy of figurine. I don't. Makes me to sleep very well. See, the very people that are religious are the most fearful. If you are sleeping in the same room with them, if they hear, I'm fasting, I'm fighting, Holy Ghost fire, celebrate, celebrate. Meanwhile, I don't have the blood of Jesus also, neither the blood of Muhammad, but I'm sleeping. For you that claim to have the precious blood of Jesus, a 2,000-year-old blood, that one is toxic. You have it, and you're still afraid. Me, the only thing I have is my faith, and I'm sleeping, even snoring. What is your problem? If you have all these things, why don't you sleep well? You come out in your house, your left leg, this is stone. Oh, they have come. Wanted. I cast. My leg is stone regularly. I move on. They'll tell you, women, you people are the worst. You have spiritual husband. You agree. Somebody who cooks things or her farm and tell you you have a and you believe it. I can't even say pastor. There's so many evidence. You cannot say that. 99.99% of all these people jumbo are nonsensical. All you need to do is to ignite your dormant critical faculty. You cannot say, oh, Prof, it's because you are successful. So then, do you know what I've gone through? I told you last year. Death looked at me in the face. I said, he said, look, I don't need you here. But some people thought good intention that is for me to repent. I said, repent to what? So please, skepticism is very, very important for intellectual maturity. Thank you very much.